the bee. And thy Lord taught the bee to build its cells in hills, on trees, and in men's habitations, then to eat of all the produce of the earth, and find with skill the spacious paths of its Lord. Al-Quran, chapter 16, verses 68 through 69. Von Frisch received the Nobel Prize in 1973 for his research on the behavior and communication of bees. The bee, after discovering any new garden or flower, goes back and tells its fellow bees the exact direction and map to get there, which is known as bee dance. The meanings of this insect's movements that are intended to transmit information between worker bees have been discovered scientifically using photography and other methods.
Honeybees have this amazing ability to communicate, and it's one of the reasons why I became a biologist, because I discovered as an undergraduate that they could communicate using a waggle dance. So a bee that dances inside the nest, let's say she goes out to find a good food source, she'll find that flower, and if it's rewarding enough, she'll come back and she'll do this dance that almost looks like a figure eight. It would be dancing back and forth and then waggling her butt, if you will, her abdomen. And that waggling is key because the angle at which she's waggling and the duration of time she spends doing it actually tells bees where to go to find food. They can tell each other where to go, how far away to fly, and what distance to go to actually find the food source.
The Quran mentions in the above verse how the bee finds with skill the spacious paths of its Lord. The worker bee, or the soldier bee, is actually a female bee. In Surah An-Nahl, chapter 16, verses 68 through 69, the gender used for the bee is the female gender, fasluki and kuli, indicating that the bee that leaves its home for gathering food is a female bee. In other words, the soldier or worker bee is a female bee. In fact, in Shakespeare's play Henry IV, some of the characters speak about bees and mention that the bees are soldiers and that they have a king. That is what people thought in Shakespearean times. They thought that the worker bees are male bees and that they go home and are answerable to a king bee. This, however, is not true. The worker bees are females and they do not report to a king bee but to a queen bee. But it took modern investigations in the last 300 years to discover this.